So welcome to our first class in the CSIT project. And today's class, what we're going to do, we'll just do a quick overview of the module, but I'm not going to spend too much time on the overview because the overview is very similar to what we would have started in the project planning module. And it's a continuation. It's basically a guide of the it's the module guide in slide format. And then what we'll do, we'll get straight into your assignments. And we want to start your first assignment today as well. Okay, so we're starting with an overview of the module using the module guide. Usually I'll have a word for you all as well. So our word today is about setting your minds higher. Sometimes when people look towards the future, they don't see how they will ever rise higher or fulfill their destiny. And that's because they're always looking at things in the earthly or natural realm. But if we set our minds high and if we set our minds on things above, we'll have a different perspective. And the scripture says that we walk by faith and not by sight. In other words, we have to believe it before we're ever going to see it. When we set our minds higher and we walk by faith, we see things God's way. But when we walk by what we see in the natural, we could easily allow circumstances and fear to keep us from moving forward. So today I'm encouraging you guys that whatever might be on your mind, to make the decision today to set your minds on things above. Focus on the good things God has in store for you. Be determined to close the door on fear and doubt and choose to listen to the inner prompting of God. As we walk and live by faith, we will see His promises come to pass and you'll move forward into destiny He has prepared for you. Good. So in terms of today's class, this is what we'll be covering. We look at an overview of the module. We look at the module aims, the learning outcomes, the delivery plans, and the assignment. Now, I'll briefly summarize these because I think all of these are similar to the project planning module as well. The focus of this module really is to get you to deliver a complex piece, to do a complex project. And that project involves building a software artifact as well as having a written technical report. Therefore, in terms of this module, it follows from the project planning module. In the project planning module, you would have determined what the project was going to be. So most of your work in the project planning module was determining the project that you're going to do. And in this module now is where you're actually now building the project. So building the project means that you've identified the project idea. So now you're going to do proper, and you've done your background research and project planning as well. So at this stage, you're taking it further, and taking it further now means that we're going to look at a comprehensive list of requirements, and you would have already developed an initial list of requirements. So now it's going to be a more comprehensive list of requirements. We'll do the proper designing of the application, the coding of it, and then testing and evaluating. Okay. Now, in terms of so those are the two areas as well. So we've already covered that what the project planning module would have done. Now this is the IT project module where you actually design, develop, test the application, and also produce your technical report to go along with it. Now, because the skill set for this is two different skill sets. One is programming, which is the building of the artifact, and one is the written skill, which requires a bit more analytical thinking, etc. We have two different lecturers who will be working with you. You have a programmer who is Marcus, who will be working with you to develop the software artifact. And then I will be working with you to deliver your assignments, right? The written assignments. Now, and so those are the two areas. So we have myself and Marcus working with you. So the aim of this project is to devise a complex individual project, solving a real world problem, which is what you're doing. And we remember, we keep talking about you need to add complexity in the aim of the project as well. And then you have to undertake and evaluate a practical solution, which is what you'll be doing. And that's the programming part. And step 3, plan, produce, and refine a technical report. And that's what I'll be working with you guys. So Marcus is focusing on number 2, which is the practical solution. I'll focus on 3, which is the technical report. And those are the different parts. And you've already devised, we've worked together in doing step 1, which is devising a complex individual project. So those are the different things you'll be doing. So I'm skipping through these because it's the same things being reiterated. In terms of the module guide as well, so we'll get into the assignments. Now, in terms of assignment, you have both formative and summative assignments. Formative assignments are for 0 marks, and you have 2 of them due. I'll cover those when I'm going through the IPR tutorial, but one of the 2 formative assignments, they both due on the 7th, which is tomorrow, but they're for 0 marks. And so one is about you, and the other one is simply submitting your project proposal. So we'll discuss that shortly. But your two summative assignments, which are the assignments for marks, are the interim project report, which is due on the 26th of June, worth 5%, and your final report and presentation, which is worth 95%, which is due on the 28th of August. So these are your two major dates, 26th of June, 28th of August. So our first set of work is regarding this first assignment, which is due on the 26th of June. So due on the 26th of June. Now, in terms of the interim report, it's worth 5%. The purpose of the interim report is simply is where you start work on your project, but you're reporting on your work after the 5th week or so. So it's worth 5%, and it's simply where you simply give an update on what you have done so far. And that is the general role of the interim report. The final report now is where you submit both the software artifact and your final report. And you also have to do a demonstration of your work as well. They call it the project viva. The viva is where you spend time with the supervisor going through your application. They will ask you some questions, etc. And all of that is part of the 95%. Okay? At the university side, the module leader is Helen Ziang. I'm not seeing Gani on this module as yet, so I'm not sure if he'll be added later on as a supervisor, but the module leader is Helen Ziang. She basically will coordinate the assignments, etc. Now, please note, each of you will be assigned a supervisor as well. In order for the university to assign you a supervisor, what you will have to do, this is where you need to upload your 2 assignments. So I want to switch from here now in terms of your assignments. By the way, all these lecture notes are available in the shared drive. I would have sent the shared drive to you all before, all right? Yesterday when I sent the links to the meeting, it would have included a link to the shared drive as well. If you were to go to StudyNet, so if you log into StudyNet, you will see that there are 2 assignments. One is about you, it's a formative assignment, and one is your project proposal. This one here, project proposal, all you simply need to do is upload your project proposal from the project planning module. Don't change anything. It doesn't matter if you decide to do a whole new project altogether. Simply upload your project proposal here, right? The one that you did in the project planning module. I don't think there's you need a tutorial on that one, right? You should be able to simply upload your file from the project planning module, okay? Is that clear to you guys? This is the project proposal, which is assignment 2 of the project planning module, which has all the details of your assignment. Is that clear, guys? Do I get an okay for that?
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Good. Now,
Yeah, that's clear.
I already done mine.
Excellent. Now, for the About You assignment, what they did, for the About You assignment, this is simply a part of as well helping to determine who to provide as your supervisor. So this is part of supervisor allocation. Personally, I believe the supervisor is allocated based on a first come, first serve. So for example, as you submit, they assign based on the order you submit as opposed to the background of your project, right? That's generally how I think it's done. So for the About You, you'll have to complete a file that looks like this here. This is the About You file, right? So it's a one-pager. It should take no more than 30 minutes to complete. About You, your full name and student number goes here. I think you're familiar with that one, right? And this one here is whether you're doing computer science or you're doing BSc Information Technology. You simply copy the X and move it in the right box, right? Whether you're doing computer science or information technology. Where are you based in the world? Trinidad will be the answer here. A brief account of your programming experience. So you could talk about how much programming experience you have. Many of you would have done web scripting module already, so you would have had some experience building an application already with that. And some of you would have had previous experience. A brief account of your academic writing experience. All right. So this is where you would have done research, your ability to do research, Harvard referencing, etc. So you would have done tutorials on Harvard referencing. You also would have done the project planning module and other modules where you would have had to use academic writing within those as well. So there is some experience in academic writing, right? Your main hopes and fears of the project, a short Twitter-like bio, 160 characters, and a bit about the project. Now, what I've done, I've just emailed you a tutorial on this as well. So for this here, I would have just sent out this email to you. When I asked you to give me 2 minutes, it was simply to send out this here. So this is an example of what you're filling. So example, John Doe, and you have student number, you put the X in the appropriate box. Regarding where you're based, answer is simply Trinidad. A brief account of your programming experience. For example, I did Java as part of the PCEP module. I have a lot of challenges with coding, but I'm also familiar with, etc. Or I recently completed web scripting module where I develop an e-commerce website using, and you can discuss the language. Or I don't have much or if any programming experience. I'm currently undertaking web scripting. I don't think anyone is undertaking web scripting now, but would have done web scripting already. But if you have any other programming background, you could include it there. A brief account of your academic writing. So just a little note here. Academic writing includes report writing. Academic writing includes report writing using Harvard referencing, etc. And most of you should have already written a report for project planning and some of the other modules as well, right? There's a link to resources on academic writing on StudyNet, but an example of what you could write. I'm somewhat familiar with academic writing, haven't completed, well, this is the project proposal in the project planning module and undertaken literature review as well. So you would have also done a literature review, which involves academic writing in the project planning module. I have some familiarity with Harvard referencing. However, this is an area where I need to develop further, as it is critical to undertaking the project. I would be happy to get more information on this. At the same time, I'm using resources available on StudyNet to become more familiar with academic writing. Just a small paragraph. It's 0 marks. It's just for them to get an idea of where you are. And you write from your perspective. This is just an example of what you may see. Your main hopes and fears, for example, your hope is to create a real-life, a solution to a real-life problem, or to write a comprehensive technical report, to perform outstanding in the module. That might be your hopes. Example fears: learning programming language, completing the project on time, your laptop conking out, etc. Those are some of your fears, right? Okay. And a short Twitter-like bio. These are examples here. So these are just some examples of a Twitter-like bio. An example: love coffee, prefer writing over coding, driven by deadline, very organized, excellent research skills, a procrastinator, right? These are just some of your attributes, right? So you could choose to write something here that describes you a bit, okay? Nothing long. This is more than. Now, part about your project, simply include the title of your project here, the aim of your project. So in the proposed project title, you could put the title of your project here. Design, develop, and evaluate a learning management system that uses whatever. This is your title. So your aim of your project could go here in this first box. Next, brief description of the problem. This here, you don't need to write this on, it's already taken. You can take this straight from, for those of you that project planning, and all of you would have, your first assignment, you have to develop PowerPoint slides. And in that PowerPoint slide, you have to describe the problem. That goes here. In your project proposal as well, you had to discuss the problem as well. You paste it here. All of this information, it's already done. You've already done it already in your project proposal. So all you're doing is copying that information and putting it here, right? The only thing is to include a bit of the technologies you will use. So in terms of the technologies now, the development environment is Eclipse or MAMP or whatever, and we will use, well, MAMP, whatever, for previewing and displaying sites. To develop the application, one will need to have a database supporting usernames, etc. An important feature of the site is the look and feel. Therefore, HTML, CSS will be used, and to bring all of it together, we'll be using PHP. Marcus will confirm the environment and the tools you'll be using, or technologies, right? But ideally, it will be along this line. And then after, any initial ideas of how findings from the literature review will inform your work. Just a sentence here to say, based on the initial literature review done in the project planning module, the project will include gamification techniques such as, etc. All you have to do is go to your, when you did your literature review, you had a recommendation section. The recommendation section, if you did it as you're supposed to, would have indicated how you would implement the features in your system. And that is simply included here, right? Your recommendation section would have shown how you use the literature review to influence your work. And so what you simply do, for this bullet point, you have the heading and you paste your recommendation section from your literature review. following all of that, guys, this is not really a lot of work. It's more copying and pasting of the work that you had previously done. All right. So,
Ravi, just a quick question. In terms of the literature review, when is the marks coming out?
Danny started marking it already, and he told me that for those who would have done it, the students were doing very well. But the truth is, I don't have all the marks because they haven't released it as yet. So I'm anticipating that. How long ago it was submitted again, Sharon? What was the due date?
I think it was the 20th.
20th of May?
Yes, I believe so.
Not 3rd of June? Sorry, no. Sorry, 20. Okay, if it's the 20th of May, sorry, then ideally it'll take a month's time to get it back, right?
Okay.
Okay, but Gani told me when we had a chat on WhatsApp, he said the students were doing well. He had marked a couple already, and I think one of the CTS students got, was it 92 or 94 or something like that, which was a really high mark, right? So,
That's good.
all right. Okay, and anything else you would like to say about yourself in relation to the module?
No.
So this part here is,
No.
just a second, guys. Right, so this part here is totally up to you all and what you choose to put here, but it could be that you could discuss the need for greater guidance from UH on the assignment, or maybe expect that you will be assigned a supervisor who's willing to work with you, right, and who's very supportive, etc., right? Or you could ask for additional like Adobe Connect sessions or online session where the university as well provide further guidance on the module, greater structure, etc. You choose what you want to include here, right? Okay, so this is just some example to feed your thoughts in this one here. This was emailed to you a short while ago, so all of you should have access to this tutorial. And this is your tutorial for your first assignment, which is your About You, which is due on the 7th of June. So we covered the two, so based on this now, we've covered two initial assignments, the About You, as well as the project proposal. Good. Any questions on those before we start your next major assignment, which is the IPR? So you may have to unmute your mic, just if there are any questions. Feel free to ask questions at any time you need. All right, so we've covered your two assignments here, the two formative assignments, the About You and the project proposal. My suggestion is you get this out of the way now so you can start focusing on your IPR, okay? All right, so no further questions. Let's start taking a look now at your interim progress report. You guys ready for this one? All right, just making sure you guys are ready. We're not going to finish the full tutorial in one class. Today's class, we're going to get started, and next week we will continue with this session. I wanted to ask a question though before we move on. Now, you'll have a class with me, and then after you'll be switching over to Marcus. There's a separate Zoom URL for Marcus's class. I wanted to find out if, for my classes, if you prefer to have them on the Saturday before Marcus class, or if you prefer to devote the Saturday to Marcus class, and my tutorials could be thrown in on evenings, etc. The choice is yours. I'm available for both. You tell me what you want. You could include it in the chat, or you could include it right here if you want to have a discussion on it as well, right?
Well, Ravi, thinking in terms, that's a good idea. Junior week might be difficult, but the depth of work to actually do the coding, to put it together, if we could have even your class span over multiple days during the week, and then have the whole week, the whole Saturday devoted to the actual coding, I would enjoy that. I would think that is a good idea. I don't know what the others think.
Gotcha. Just to share, if we're doing the evening class, I'll do it at your time. So maybe even 6 to 7:30. What I'll be doing, I will do maybe, I don't need a class every week. So for example, I will need maybe 1 or 2 sessions to complete the interim progress report. So I could do that on evening so you could focus on Marcus, but just a thought. Now, here's why. Most of your needs are in the programming area for most students, and therefore Marcus I'd prefer give Marcus the full 3 hours to develop your coding, so that on Saturday you focus on coding with Marcus, and I would have classes, I wouldn't have classes every week for you, because in terms of the write-up, this is what I plan to do. After covering the IPR, we will do the IPR maybe on 2 evening sessions, right? Including what we're doing today, and maybe one more or two more as the need is. We'll do one next week and one the week after. The classes could be from 6 to 7:30 or so. If you need it to be from 7 to 8, it's not a problem. I can arrange the time. The issue is not so much that. And then after you've done the IPR, then I will start work on your final report. So the IPR is due on the 26th, and after the 26th, so I will have maybe 2 classes to get you up to the IPR. The rest of your time is working on your interim report, and part of that will include the programming you're doing with Marcus. After the IPR is done and handed up, then we will resume classes. So that's at the end of June. In July, we will resume classes for the final report, and every week I need about 6 to 7 sessions. I'll have one per evening to go through a chapter of the final report. So each week I'm covering a different chapter of the final report. That's just a thought on a 1.5 class, maybe 2 hours maximum, based on the chapter we need to cover. And again, at your timing. If not, we'll have it on the Saturday with Marcus's class, but just to get your feedback. So one, Sheldon, you okay with it? The others, just your thoughts.
Yeah, well, with the morning again. With
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Yeah, with the rationale that you have explained there, I would definitely prefer the Saturday dedicated to the coding as well, and your classes during the week.
Excellent.
Yeah, good morning, guys. I have no problem with the arrangement as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. I agree to the setup as well. The Saturday for the coding and during the week for Rabbi sessions.
Okay. Now, please know these sessions will be recorded as well, right? And the other thing I want you to note as well, even if you miss a session, guys, even if you came to a session and you want me to go over this stuff, I will gladly go over it with you. If you miss a session, I'll do the same if required. A lot of the slides are self-explanatory, but I don't want to take it for granted in that regard. The reality is that you can use the, you have the slides, etc. But whatever you need additional help with, that my role is to help and support you as well. So therefore, based on that, what I'll do, given the general consensus, we will have the evening classes. Is there a preferred evening for you all as well? Is there a day and evening that is generally preferred? Just by, I could have created a poll also, but I haven't done that. But anyway, how many of you, in terms of the raising hands, so I want you to use the raise hands feature. I'm going to call the one day at a time, and you have to tell me which day is best based on that, right? So using the raise hand feature, I don't know if you're familiar with where the raise hand is or how to raise your hand, right? Let's start with Monday, if preference of Monday. I'm trying to see which day is the most preferred day. Monday. All right. Moving now, okay, 1 for Monday. All right, moving now to Tuesday. How many of you prefer Tuesday as the day of the session? Okay, 2 for Tuesday, 3. Good. You could prefer more than one day as well, so you can raise your hand more than one if you want. I'll just take the one with the most numbers, right? So I'll take the one with the most numbers. So 6 for Tuesday. Wednesday. How many of you with a preference for Wednesday? 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 for Wednesday. Thursday. How many of a preference for Thursday session? Keep your hands up for a little bit so I could count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Friday. Okay. All right. So based on the above, Thursday seems to be the most popular day for the session. All right. Is there any one of you, now take down your hand, is there any one of you who cannot do Thursday, who's impossible, you can't do Thursday at all, right? By show of hands. All right. So I've Jonathan and, okay. Okay, for Thursday, Jonathan, Devon. Okay, just want to make sure, cannot do Thursday, is it? Jonathan, you can do Thursday, and just Jonathan alone, and Devon as well cannot do Thursdays. All right. For those who cannot do Thursdays.
Can I just mention, I can do Tuesday, but I'm wondering Thursday and Friday so close to Saturday, so that even if I'm thinking if we are lagging behind any programming and work that we need to do in preparation for Saturday, I'd think that to have Thursday free and Friday free might be a good option. This is just my thought. Anyone else?
Yeah, I think earlier in the week better, so it evenly spaced between the two classes now, so we don't have like a 2-day gap or a 1-day gap between the next class.
I agree.
I think Wednesday might be the perfect day as it is in the middle of between sessions, and usually I have other arrangements on Thursdays.
No problem. So let's find out. Is there any one of you who cannot do Wednesday? Is there any one of you who cannot do the Wednesday? Odin. All right. No problem. Okay. What I can do, Odin, is there any time on Wednesday you're available at all? Or you're just not available? Because I know sometimes you teach as well. So I don't know. Do you have is there any time on that Wednesday you may be available? Before 5, okay. Before 5 will be tough for the others as well because I know okay. All right, so here's what I'll do. I'll have the class on Wednesday. Odin, I would arrange as well. We'll arrange to go through with you separately also to ensure that, and you would have the recording from the session and I'll also go through the stuff with you. Is that fair enough, Odin? Okay, Tuesday is good for you at any time. Is anyone can do Tuesday? Anyone cannot do Tuesday? Okay, given that's the case then, and since everyone can do Tuesday classes, can I just simply shift the class to Tuesday then, if that's the case? Given there are no objections based on persons who cannot do Tuesday, right? Can I go ahead and do Tuesday then? Right, Sheldon, is that raised hand is for yes for Tuesday or no for Tuesday?
That's a yes.
Gotcha. So I'm trusting, okay, then we'll have the class on Tuesday then, right? Tuesday from 6 p.m. Is that reasonable for the class time? 6 until, I'll just 6 till 8, but ideally we should finish by 7:30 or so in most cases, or 7, depending, right? Okay.
6 is good, but I don't know if 6:30 might be better for everyone.
Is there anyone having a problem with 6 or prefers 6:30 or 6:30? Is a preference to 6 or 6:30? All right, let's start. Preference for 6 p.m. Preference for 6 p.m. versus 6:30. So 6 p.m. first. 1, 2. Okay, and preference is 6:30 p.m. Okay. Okay, so it seems 6 p.m. has it. Is there any one of you who cannot make the 6 p.m. session? So take down your hands now. Any one of you who cannot make the 6 p.m. session on Tuesday? Can you all attend from 6 p.m.? All right, so 6 p.m. it is on Tuesday then, right? Okay, Kev, I know you put 6:30 there, but can you attend from 6 o'clock on Tuesday? Kevin?
I will try my best to. It's just that I have something between 4 to 5:30, but this class is important as well, so I'll try my best for 6 p.m.
No
Since
problem.
I should be able to accommodate.
Okay, no problem, bud. Thank you. All right. So we'll work with 6 on Tuesday, and if after we could change it to 6:30, we would do that after, right? Okay, great. So let's get started. So your first assignment is the interim progress report. And the interim progress, so we're going to go through in terms of this this assignment here. Now, one of the reasons why I'm not using slideshow is because sometimes when I have done the videos for slideshow, it shows up as pure black, so I'm not seeing a screen at all in a couple times for the recording, and I had to get Zoom support to sort it out, right? Is there a problem if I leave it as this here with you guys? Are you all seeing content, etc.? Okay, good. So let's work. So today's session, and the first part of today's session is focusing on the interim progress report. So our word today is don't worry about failures. Worry about the chances you miss when you don't even try. And that's the case of many of you with your assignments. Many of you don't even try your assignment, guys. And I really would like to see this is the last running of the IT project course at CTS, because remember, we're teaching out the program. And we've run the project last semester, we're running it again this semester. And I would really like to see everyone submitting their assignments. For some assignments, there's students just don't submit at all. So I really want to encourage you guys. If at any point you realize you need help, you need support, reach out to me, please. Right? I'm willing to work with you one-on-one to help coach, guide you to get the assignments done as well, but you'll need to reach out to me as well. In terms of the schedule for this module, there are different assignments that you'll see on the module guide. There's an About You assignment due on June 7th, the project proposal as well. And also there's the interim progress report, which is with 5%, and the final report on software artifact with 95% on August 28th. However, you will see that there's a few project meetings, right? You have 5 project meetings with your supervisors. Now, truthfully speaking, for CTS students, what they do is a little different. For the other students, they actually have to submit a log of their meeting. What you guys simply need to do, the project meeting really is simply the series of communication between you and your supervisor. It could simply be emails that you send along with any supporting documents as well. Those are meetings. All communication with your supervisor is considered part of your meeting. So it's while they bill it as a project meeting log, it's not a formal document that you have to submit like an assignment. Every interaction with your supervisor is considered part of your meetings. You are encouraged to utilize that interaction with your supervisor as much as possible. Next thing I want to share with you guys. Many students duck their supervisor because they may not have done work, etc. But the truth is, you could use your supervisor to your advantage. They are the ones who's marking your work. Everything you do, give it to them to review. Submit everything. You impress them, because trust me, there are more students who are underutilizing their supervisor. So they are being paid to do a job, and many of them are not, because students are simply not giving them anything, they are not being utilized. I would encourage you to maximize on their skills, because they know exactly what they want. I am interpreting what they want, but over the years, we've done so many that have a fair idea, a very good idea, I think. However, you submit all your stuff to them. Get their constant engagement in your work as well. Impress them as well. Get them to critique it so that by the time you get your mark, you'll get a much better mark. Don't avoid these supervisors at all, okay? And it is important that every week you should have a weekly interaction with your supervisor. A weekly interaction can be simply an email that you're sending to them, right? Communicating, updating them. You want to show proper planning as well, so you should give them an idea of what you've done and what you plan to do every week, what you've done this week, and what you plan to do for the coming week as well, okay? Now, based on the tutorial, the assignment briefing sheet for the interim progress report is not yet available, but I'm using last year as my guide. Last year, the recommended word count for the interim report was 1,700 words. It was word 5%. It's due on Friday, 26th of June. Typically, it's due 5 p.m. UK time, which is 12 noon Trinidad time. As I said, the word count does not exceed 1,700. It's not a lot of words in the body, but the truth is you have to show evidence of your work. The marks of the IPR is more about the evidence, supporting evidence. So the bulk of your evidence will go in the appendix. Now, realistically, you are expected to show as much programming work as you can. That's why I want Marcus to do as much as he can to give them the confidence that you are able to build your application. So Marcus is going to work with you in delivering the different features. It's important that you make a note of the feature Marcus is working on. Now, the next thing is this. When Marcus is teaching you guys later on today, it's crucial that when he's working, you are working on your actual application. Please don't create a demo application and then try to do it over in another live one, because I've had too many cases of that where the live has literally nothing and the demo one is more scrappy. Whatever Marcus does, treat it as though that's the actual application. If Marcus is going too fast, slow him down. Make sure he does it step by step so you could follow and do the same thing on your computer, so that by the time he finishes a feature, you have finished it as well. You can dictate the pace of the course. Even for this class, you have the say, but many of you choose to stay quiet, and whatever the teacher does, you accept. You are the student. You are the ones who can make the claim here. You tell us what you want. If we are not delivering to your expectation, you need to be able to use your rights and be able to use your power as well to get us to do that. Because at the end of it, if you don't have an application, you are accountable for it. So it's important that we serve you in the right capacity. If we are not giving you what you want and doing it the way you want, let us know. Give us the feedback. But you are required to do your work as well. Okay? So as Marcus is programming, teaching you programming, it's important you build as he teaches as well. Now, the IPR is made up of the following sections, right? There are 5 main sections. Here's the background research with 20 marks. Now, guess what? You've already done the background research, right? But the summary of progress to date is an update on the different areas that you've done, 20 marks there. Consideration of ethical issues, 10 marks. Review of project plan, 20 marks. Appendices, 10. And for the overall report, referencing, 10. Written communication, 10. Now, I want you to know the following. A lot of what you've done before in the project planning module can be reused here word for word because it's a continuation of the module, right? You wouldn't be charged for self-plagiarism in this particular case. However, you have to be careful. You cannot take your work from web scripting and use it in the project module in terms of the application if you're doing, just in case any of you doing an e-commerce system, because you can be charged for plagiarism in that regard. It has to be something different. You cannot reuse the code from the project, from the web scripting if you're doing an e-commerce application, okay? All right, we'll go through the marking scheme with you as we do each section, right? So this is your marking scheme here, and I'll go through that in each section. You are required to submit a Word document. The file name convention is usually the word IPR _ your surname, then your first name .docx, all right? And of course, you should submit it to Turnitin to get a review on your on it. Okay.
Ravi,
Yeah.
on Turnitin, how do you sign up? I try to, not all modules have a link. Like for instance, the project planning, there wasn't a link.
Right. You could use one of your old modules and submit it from the Turnitin link because there's a separate independent link for Turnitin on the module, right?
Okay.
So in project planning, you all had a Turnitin option, didn't you?
No, I didn't see it.
In any of the modules you've had so far?
DMV.
Right. And in DMV, it was a separate, it wasn't the same submission for your assignment. It was simply a separate link. So you could just use that link to submit it to Turnitin and get your review. Good?
Okay, thanks.
And you could ask the module leader, but for the final project, there is a Turnitin link that the student had, right? It was available last semester for the CSIT project student. So in terms of this report, it has to look good. It has to look professional. So what we're going to do, after you submit, there's a Turnitin analysis. Yes, after you submit, there's a Turnitin analysis, correct. Just looking at the chart. Okay, so in terms of the cover page, this is an example cover page, but ideally a cover page should have the title of your project, your name, your assignment number, the module name, right? So those are some examples. Now, by the way, in the shared drive, there are sample IPRs already available for you, right? So I have a few sample IPRs already available. All your lecture notes is already on the shared folder. The files I'm using are currently on the shared folder. I've updated it prior to the class as well. So all of these are available there. I'll still email them to you, but everything is available on the shared folder that I've given you access to. So this is an example of a cover page. My recommendation, Microsoft Word has a lot of nice cover page. You could use one of those and include this information in it, okay? Your table of content. This is an example of a table of content. You have your introduction, your background research, your summary of progress to date, and under that you'll have supervisory meeting, work done since the project planning. I should change this from EPP to from the project proposal, requirements analysis, design, implementation. So you will be working on all of these different areas. Consideration for ethical issues, a review of your project plan, references, appendix. So these are the different sections you have available here. All right, we're going to start with one at a time. As I said, today's session, I'm only going to do about 5 more minutes for Marcus' class going to start, but we will at least get started as well. So first, I have added an introduction, which, right, now the introduction is not part of the marking scheme. If you go back to here, right, the introduction is not part of the marking scheme, right? You're not seeing any marking scheme allocated to introduction. But so I've added the introduction, and Gani even recommended it as well. What should be included in the introduction? Maximum 150 to 170 words. Introduction should have the aim of your project. You already have the aim of your project. It should have the problem that you're going to solve, and you already have a description of that problem from your project proposal as well. So you're really copying and pasting back into here. And of course, you could include briefly the purpose of the interim report. Okay, those are the three things I would like to see in your introduction. In terms of the aim would have, you need to specify the application as well as incorporate advanced features. I'm not going to spend much time with the aim because we've done this more than 3 times. We have covered the aim already in this module, in the project planning module. An example aim would be, this project is concerned with the analysis, design, implementation, evaluation of learning management system that uses e-assessment techniques such as formative, administrative, and objective assessment to capture students' learning and progress. Or the aim of this project is to develop a learning management system that facilitates instructors, learners, and administrators to use and access services and is beyond the restriction of time and place in teaching and learning process. The LMS also provide tools for content creation, including multimedia content, assignments, and supporting interaction, including discussion groups, online quiz, examination, as well as feedback system that facilitates surveys and questionnaires, sample aims, etc. Okay? So these are just examples. You have an aim as well, and you can constantly refine it as well. Can you change your aim? The answer is yes, you can. This project is yours. You can change your project at any time you wish to, but every time you change your project, understand that, you know, there are things you may have to redo, right? So for example, if you change your project, the background research you did before, parts of it may not be applicable. So when you have to do background research going forward, you may have to involve new stuff, right? In terms of the problem, this is where you describe the problem that you'll be solving, right? What it intends to do, and even describe a few key features as well, right? So there's an example problem here, right? We've covered the problem previously in your project proposal. You've already had a section called the aim and a section to discuss the problem as well, an overview of the problem. I'm just simply suggesting you reuse some of these, bearing in mind word count, because you don't want to include too much word count into this section, but it's really to introduce the person to your problem area that is beyond your aim. Okay, and last, the purpose of the interim progress report. The interim progress report simply is to chart the progress of your project. It will provide a critical analysis of the tasks that were undertaken, along with supporting evidence of all work done. It includes comments on any setbacks that may have delayed progress. It will also look at what still needs to be done in order to complete your project. So this is an example of what you could write for the purpose of your interim report. Okay, so these are the 3 features, 3 sections of your aim. I'm going to do aim and background research with you guys. Now for the background research, recommended 600 words. Now for the project planning module, you would have done a background research, but that background research might have been 1,200 words or so, right? So, or 1,800 words, I believe. So you definitely cannot use the whole background research as you had it before. You'll have to restrict it a bit. So now 2 schools of thought here. Now, when Ghani is teaching the background research, Ghani wants the background research the way we would have done it in the project module, in the project proposal module. However, in this module, if Ghani is not your supervisor, you may find that your new supervisor may have some different requirements. So for the background research, depending on who your supervisor is, we may need to get a bit more information, because as I said, a lot of these things they're not like standard in that it's very subjective and it's based on the marker. For your background research, however, you could use the stuff you did for your project planning module and stripped it down a bit, because that would have been a much longer, more detailed background research. The other option is that you could use your background research to talk a lot about the major features of your project. So for example, right, for the major features like gamification, responsive design, etc., those are some of the things you could cover. So for this background research for your IPR, these are some recommendations that I have. One, you'll briefly introduce the importance. So this is the structure for writing a background research. Briefly introduce the importance of your project idea. Review existing websites that are learning management system based. Identify as many features or principles you plan to incorporate, and I'll discuss how you're going to do those. And look at areas beyond functionality, such as version control, the choice of software development tools, etc. Right? User experience, those are some areas. Because of word count, you cannot do too many, but you need to consider maybe 4 to 5 areas as best as if you can. Don't restrict it too much though. So usually you'll start with a brief background to your area as well, right? Because of word count issues, if you have to remove a section, this you can choose to remove, right? Because you would have already covered the problem in the problem area. But ideally, here is where you introduce the importance of learning management system and why learning management systems are crucial. Just a small couple sentences to introduce the importance of learning management system, okay? So this is just an example here for e-commerce system, but you should introduce a small importance of why learning management system, why there's a growth and proliferation of learning management system. Then you get into yours. So so the next part now, you're briefly introducing the importance of your project for your project area. So here's what I want. Start for this section, you're going to look at similar websites. For each website, you can discuss the websites you've looked at, right? Talk about a couple features that they use, justify why this feature is required, and discuss how you will incorporate it into your application. So these are the 4 major points using here. You're looking at a couple websites that are learning management system based. Discuss some of the general features that they have. How are these features going to be justify the feature? You cannot just say, well, they have this, I'm going to use it. You need to justify or support the feature and how you will incorporate it into your project. Okay, so this is an example of one. Now, one thing to note, as much as this example uses more the use of login and registration feature, the truth is those features are now commonplace to most applications. So I would recommend, however, that you avoid, even though this example uses is to illustrate how to justify, how to show the websites, etc. The example here uses more the register and login, and I will encourage you to not use those features because those features are basic and considered a constant feature of every application. It's a standard feature. Therefore, don't waste your word count using those features, use other features instead. The purpose of the example is simply to illustrate the 4 points being used, right? So let's look at the example, see if you can identify the website, identify the feature, support, justify the feature, and discuss how it will be incorporated. Sheldon, question?
Yes,
question.
in terms of, let's say, with the written review that we did, when I started this, I took some elements from the written review because to me, the written review was actually going through the features we had and doing research on it. Could I use the information from the written review in this section?
Written review meaning a literature review from
the literature review. Sorry, the literature review.
That's what I'm saying. You can use the literature review and incorporate back a lot of it, but your literature review was 1,800 words, right? Yeah. So you cannot use it whole scale because you cannot just copy and paste it and leave it as is. You have to scale it down because this is only about 600 words here. So the answer is yes, you can reuse your work. But what you'll have to do is you have to modify it because the word count is drastically different here versus there. So you wouldn't be able to do all of the details that you had written. You'll have to shrink or summarize a bit more for each feature.
Thanks. Can I send you what I did so far?
Definitely, and I've reiterated that. Feel free to share with me as well. But what you do, why don't you write it first and then share it? Complete your background research for this year and then share it. The background research is one section, right? So don't send the background research on project planning. Send the background research for the IPR, the one that is going to be 600 words or so, right?
Okay.
Gotcha, because the one from the IPR, you already got marks for that and you cannot use it as is here. So here's where you strip it down and then send it to me. Good? Okay.
Thanks.
So in this example, again, we're reiterating the use of the 4 points. From the research on currently learning websites such as Coursera, University, Allison Code Academy. 1, they've clearly identified e-learning or learning management systems. 2, I decided my learning application will employ login and registration feature. Did they identify the features? Yes, register and login. Now we need to see if they justify the feature. These features will allow the application to track users and their data, such as username, password, etc. Many studies have indicated that students with poor self-regulating abilities are not academically successful as those with good self-regulating abilities. Without creating user accounts, the application would not be able to offer personalized learning. Users will not be able to track their performance throughout the progress, etc. Hence will not be able to self-regulate. So he has justified. What you need to do now is what could have been discussed is how you will incorporate it into your application. So in your application now, you would employ the login and register feature where a person must register before they could log in. Good. So this is where you could add on to ensure that you've added that part about how you will incorporate it. You must tie it into your application. If you don't tie it to your application, then you're not showing the practical applicability of the feature. You're just telling me about the feature. Now, again, I'll reiterate, please don't use login and register because they're considered basic feature. As much as possible, use this section to discuss your advanced features, okay? All right, next, after you've done the review of the websites and some of the features you're using there, now we're going to look at some of your major features here now. And for each of your major feature, these are more the advanced feature. There are 5 things I wanted you to do. State the feature, why it's beneficial, websites that use it, any limitations, and how you will incorporate it into your application. All right, so state the feature, why it's beneficial, websites use it, any limitation, and how you will incorporate. Now, what are some of those features? Those features, if you're doing the e-learning, learning management system, would include, for example, gamification, learning analytics, etc. So some of those advanced features, and you already have a list of your advanced features as well. Take those now and start including them here. So let's take a look. We're going to use an example here. So let's look at recommender systems, right? Now remember to reiterate these, right? State the feature, how it works, why it's beneficial, any limitation, websites use it, and how you will incorporate it into your application. So based on that now, this is an example. State the feature is recommender systems. So recommender systems are being increasingly used by many e-commerce sites to increase sales by recommending products to consumers. Recommender systems can convert browsers into buyers, improve cross-selling by recommending additional items, which can increase consumer order, and by increasing customer loyalty. Cite as much as you can in this section, and this section will have lots of citation. You discuss, in this example, you discuss the feature, and now we're going to look at how it works. The recommender system works by recommending products to consumers by looking at their past buying patterns to predict future buying patterns. While there are several approaches to implementing recommender system, Abu Durrami suggests collaborating filtering, which builds a database of preferred products by consumers, as being one of the best algorithms. And you can discuss how it works further. Now we're going to look at some drawbacks. There are some drawbacks to recommender system, which includes false negative, where a product is recommended that the consumer does not like, and there's false positive, where a product that the consumer likes but is not recommended. Talk about websites that use it. Amazon utilizes recommender system in 2 ways when selling their books. One is based on other books purchased by consumers who purchase the selected books, and the other is etc. And then last, the recommender system will be used in this project too, and then discuss how you will use it in your project. So what I'm recommending now is using these points here, you're going to develop some of your advanced features. So this is another example using a process funnel design pattern, right? So you have gamification, you have responsive design. Take a look at your advanced features because you already have these features listed from your project planning module. Using those features now, discuss using the same set of points, each of those features, all right? Bearing in mind your word count as well. You should try to incorporate at least 3 to 4 advanced feature, as well as incorporate maybe another one on development methodology, whether using Agile or any of those as well. So in terms of it as well, so go beyond functionality as well. So you might want to discuss like user experience design, software methodology, version control, website credibility, security. Those are other areas you could discuss. And it's the very same set of things you're doing as well. State the feature, why it's beneficial, websites that use it, how you will incorporate it. Okay? It's the same series of questions you are doing for each of these as well. Okay? This is an
excuse sir.
Yes, hi.
I have a question, right? What will be the word limit for this part?
Right.
If we have to add the advanced features.
Right. So the word limit I recommended here is roughly 600 words for this section.
Okay.
right? So you're seeing the 600 here, right, in the beginning. So I
Yeah.
recommend 600 words here. So you have to choose your words slightly, choose your words carefully when writing this section, okay? And
Okay.
so those are examples. So have an example for website credibility. Given the website is the customer's first point of contact with the business, and given this is a new business website that is heavily dependent on consumer purchasing, it is important that the website remains credible to the user. According to Trust Verified, a credible website can provide a strategic advantage to a business by changing the user's attitude towards the site by giving them more confidence to use it, which can lead to change in their behavior, thereby allowing them to register, make purchases, and even register for future purchases. Stanford Persuasive Technology made several recommendations on boosting a website credibility. One is the recommender system. One of the recommendations was to show that honest and trustworthy people are behind your website. And in order to do that, you have a picture of the website owner and a brief description, etc. Of course, you should try, as I said, use the key talking points that we discuss in writing each of these. And there are more examples as well. Version control, right? These are just different things you could talk about. Choice of software tools as well to justify your choice of software tools. So systems development approach, I would recommend using Agile or the waterfall model. It doesn't really matter which one you choose, but Agile is very popular, right? And also user experience as well. You could choose to discuss those. So those are some other examples that you could choose to incorporate for your background research. But the main thing about writing your background research, as I said, is ensuring the following. One, you briefly introduce the project idea, review existing websites, some of the more popular ones, and some of the major features that they use. Justify the features as well. Then take your major features, maybe about 4 of them, 3 to 4 of them, identify for those features, right? Identify of many of them and justify why you're including them in your project. Now, remember, I give you a list, a checklist to write on. And the same, go beyond functionality now and look at development methodology, choice of software tools, etc. And for maybe a couple of those, you do the same. And that becomes your background research. And that brings us to the end of today's section here. So what we'll do, in terms of the marking scheme, according to them, you get 20 marks is for excellent review, concise, critical review, setting the context of your project. 15 is for good, concise review of relevant papers, some critical appraisal set in the context, etc. So you're going to focus on getting the maximum mark here. Again, just follow the general structure and the bullet points for writing the different sections. All right. That brings us to the end. Our next session, we'll be going on to section 3, which is summary of progress to date. So our next class now will be on what day, guys?
Wednesday.
Wednesday at
6 p.m.
6 p.m. and we will continue with the tutorial. Okay. Have a good day, everyone. I know you have a class with Marcus now. Please remember, you'll be exiting this session and you'll be joining Marcus' session. The link for Marcus' session was provided to you in an email yesterday as well. Okay.
All right, thanks, Ravi.
Any
All
questions?
right, thanks very much.
Thanks, Ravi.
Okay. Gotcha.